it's going to be a little tough for them to sell what is, on its face, a pretty ludicrous argument. Who is more of a misogynist? The thrice-married, proudly lecherous beauty pageant owner who calls women things like disgusting and fat pig and evaluates their chest sizes regularly on the Howard Stern show? Or the potential first woman president? I'm pleased to welcome Gloria Steinem and Robin Morgan, co-founders of the Women's Media Center. It's so great to have you here at the table.
Good to be back.
So, what do you make of this bizarre turn that the campaign took in the last day, in which apparently they want to have an argument about who's the real feminist? In fact, I saw a talking point circulated by the Trump campaign that I can't vouch for, but they were being posted by a reporter, that the idea that Hillary Clinton is a feminist is a joke.
No. I don't know, it may be a form of swift voting, you know, because you have a happy marriage here where two people, the Clintons, actually like each other, are interested in the same issues, talk to each other as much as to anybody else, right?
Right.
And then you have Trump and all the horrible names he's called women. And in the swift voting example that Kerry suffered, it meant that you were accused of what you did right, not what you did wrong.
Huh.
I think, I think it's more evident in calling her a liar and cheating Hillary and so on, because every single fact-checking service has pointed out that she is the most accurate and honest of all the candidates. And so instead of going after her weakness, he goes after her strength.
And it's also a projection. It's like a reverse reality world. You know, we're through the looking glass. So he accuses the Clinton Foundation, which does good stuff, and about which absolutely no evidence, serious evidence of quid pro quo has emerged. On the other hand, his foundation is being investigated by the New York State Attorney General, has had to pay Justice Department fines more than once. You know, more stuff is coming out every day. But he takes what he is and what he does and projects it on the other. So he says she has had a hate-filled campaign. You're just totally, you're waiting for the Mad Hare, the Mad Hatter and the White Rabbit to come by.
I want to ask you, please.
Well, people are smart though. I mean, because he has the biggest gender gap and race gap in the history of the nation.
It is pretty remarkable to look at how much along demographic lines this race is shaking out, and women voters ultimately right now, right? So people of color are overwhelmingly choosing Hillary Clinton over Donald Trump.
And women even more than men.
Women much more than men, and right now there's this sort of battle for women, college-educated women, particularly white women, since women of color are largely and overwhelmingly in the camp of Hillary Clinton, between these two. And it's interesting to see the terrain right now being fought on the terrain of the fight for the women's vote.
Yeah, but I don't think college-educated young white women are voting for Trump. They just regret Bernie Sanders, or they're not sure about Clinton, because for obvious reasons. I mean, they haven't yet had they're graduating in debt, but they haven't yet realized that they're going to earn $1 million less over their lifetime to pay it back.
And also, they've grown up in a climate where they have reproductive rights. So I mean, we didn't. We remember back alley abortions, which will happen again if he appoints the next Supreme Court justice. So the bottom line, the absolute base of a woman's functioning as a free agent, which is control over her own body, we will lose. They will lose, women of reproductive age, the young millennials. So it's very important, I think, that to have that sense of context.
Yeah, it seems, I mean, there's this question, right, about the sort of generational gap, and you see, obviously, women 18 to 34 have lower margins for Hillary Clinton. You're sort of talking to some of the reasons for that, or the reasons you think that might be the case.
It's experience.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they've been told you can be anything you want, and I'm glad that they've been told that, because they'll get mad as hell when they find out that it's not true.
Well, also, do you think there's a certain degree to which the historic nature of the Clinton campaign and what she would represent feels less earth-shattering for people of a younger generation?
And that's good news.
And that's okay.
You know, we wanted them to feel entitled. You know, I mean, they come in and they, well, we'll see a woman president in our lifetimes. We don't have to rush until she's perfect. But ain't nobody ever.
And they have longer lifetimes too.
That's definitely, absolutely. But nobody is in fact perfect. And she's the best qualified person. The president even said this. And Bernie Sanders had said this, ever to run for the office.
But there was a really good cooperation between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton.
They were on the trail today.
And it was the perfect function of a candidate like Bernie, who raised free universal education, and a candidate like Hillary, who knows what's possible, and so talks about debt-free education, because she understands that very rich folks should maybe not have a free education.
Together they came up with a platform.
Together
they came up with a platform that's a millennial platform.
So let me ask you, how much do you, when you look at this campaign, particularly the Trump campaign, I think there's some, Rebecca Traster's written about this a bit, fantastic writer, a friend of mine. You know, this idea that this is really this kind of, you know, revenge of the patriot. I mean, there's sort of this deep misogyny that is both focused on Hillary Clinton writ large and sort of channeled through the Donald Trump. It's very present at the surface.
Republicans have been, I must say, sort of evoking him, you know, for years with dog whistles on racism, with their fight against war against women, you know, against reproductive rights and everything else. And so finally, when the Frankenstein's creature, you know, rises and moves, they say, then they acted horrified. Oh my God, it's alive. But they have in fact invoked it, and his campaign has given permission in a way that she will do exactly the opposite. It's like he's lifted a rock, and all the worst side of our country has crawled out. But I believe in the better side, and so does she. But it requires love and aspiration. It requires presence, most of all. We always say if you can't see it, you can't be it. It requires
empathy. And earlier this year I was in Australia, and I was reminded that the woman who was there, the Prime Minister, experienced exactly the same thing. And Barbara Mikulski, the former senator from Maryland, has just come out today on the web saying the same things were said about me. And I think that's what allows us to know that it's misogyny, because very different people have the same experience.
Gloria Steinem and Robin Morgan, it's such a great pleasure to have you here. Thank you very much for coming. Really appreciate it.